Hi everyone, and welcome to Rules Room, a platform for the misunderstood, where we make hood logical content make sense for those who believe if you're raised in the hood, then you're always most likely to be up to no good. I'm here to reverse that curse and express myself. Please, don't hesitate to join me and be my roommate. Cleveland, we're definitely in the house. Now, we're still reading from the book In the Hood, Up to No Good, Hopped Off the Porch by Sierra Alquawi. We're on Chapter 4. Chapter 4, Fake Friends. It's the night before Demi's infamous party, and my mother still hasn't came home. She always would stay away for weeks at a time. The day of the party, while at school, Demi was in her feelings all day. She found out that her boyfriend, he wasn't coming to the party due to his house arrest. Now, while everybody else at school was chit-chatting about the party, Demi and we wasn't as excited. I didn't do anything to celebrate my birthday. I was busy looking after my siblings, so this party meant a lot to me. As the school day came to an end, Demi and I walked home together. Audubon, that's the name of our middle school. It's located on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. We parted ways on East 98 in Dickens. As I walked along, I was wishing that my mom showed up and was waiting to greet me at the door. Upon opening the door, as usual, I was greeted by Millie. She was sitting at the kitchen table with a smirky expression, as if she read my mind. Now that I realize it, we both were experiencing neglect. She must have understood my frustration. But Millie, see, she had emotional intelligence, which I have learned from her. I can go through hell and hot water and still thrive while coping with my inner peace. After kicking off my shoes, leaving them by the door, I intended on chit-chatting with Millie until it was time for me to go get my siblings. They was at elementary school, Mount Auburn. I guess disappointment was written all over my face because Millie kept the same smirky expression. Millie said, "You can take off your coat because your mother, she went to go pick the kids up from school." The good news was confirmation that God was really coming through for me. All my preparations paid off. Hair done, check. Outfit, check. I even had my own money. I saved it from running numbers for Millie's father. We called him Papa. I was rocking the famous 3D twist quick weave. Tommy Hill figured down. To be honest, I didn't know much about no name brand until my Aunt Princess gave me things to wear. I was cute as I wanted to be. Party ready. I felt like God gave me permission to attend this birthday party as a gift. He was stepping in for my parents. As I finished getting dressed for the party, I heard all the commotion going on about the house. Quickly, I realized that my mother could walk out the door at any time, leaving me to babysit. So I hurried up and I left out. Demi was happy that I arrived early. She was still upset about her boyfriend Juan not being able to come, losing her party spirit. I tried distracting her, but it didn't work. As we laid around and hung around, Random friends from school start showing up. After getting the phone call to meet Brianna and Apple on 98th and Dickens, we all headed up the street. Before we reached 98th Street, we saw a mob of kids. They were all walking towards us. I ain't never seen so many people on one street. It was amazing. Once they were close enough to recognize us, they stormed Demi with birthday praises. We didn't even notice when Brianna and Apple met up with us. It was so crowded. So we all stopped and gathered in front of little Jen's house to make sure Brianna and Apple made it. To gather ourselves. Now little Jen, he's another popular pretty boy in the hood. He had another little brother named Lil Daddy. He was just as popular and handsome. They had the baddest little sisters in the hood, named Little Nana and Little Nitty. Now see, Lil Glenn, he was known for dressing nice and having all the pretty girls. He was also known for getting money at his young age. Everyone important and then some was present, except one. Now, imagine a overcrowded gang of middle schoolers approaching your house for your daughter's birthday party. See, Pat and Snake, those were Demi's parents. Two of the coolest parents in the hood. I couldn't believe they allowed everyone to stay. Most people had to chill on the porch, outside in the front yard, even taking up the neighbor's house. No one complained about the large crowd or the party. Funny thing is, Demi's house was 1 minute away from the 4th District Police Station. As we were partying in the living room, Juan creeped in, surprising Demi, giving her the shock of her life. She wrapped her arms around his neck, squeezing tightly. That was her way of saying she was mad, but now she was happy. Now that both of our wishes was granted, it was time to turn up Cleveland style. Boys all up on girls, everybody dancing, food and beverages, jokes and roasting, passing around latest gossip, dance battles. I could only imagine how I actually looked when it was my turn to dance with my crush KZ. Okay, let me set the scene for you. Imagine 2 middle schoolers dancing and then ending up doggy style on the floor in some sort of dance move. Now, I don't know what I was thinking or why I got on the floor. All I know is KZ was with it all. He was gripping my little waist as if he did it before. Everybody was amping us up, motivating the dance, turning the party up a little more. That made the highlight of the night. Now, after things wind down, and as people were starting to leave, we all just lounged around and waited until it was only the 4 of us. Demi, Brianna, myself, and Apple. We was all more than satisfied about our results of our hard work, hood hopping to promote the party. We knew that the party was about to be the hottest topic at school because half of the 6th and 7th grade class was there. Now, after experiencing this thrill of the party, I had my big girl panties on now. I still like KZ, but now my eyes was open for other options. We graduated from hood hopping to going to teen clubs. Now, our favorite spot was the Party Center. Party Center, it was located on East 93rd and Kinsman, across the street from the 4th District Police Station. That was just only a hop, skip, and a jump from Demi's house. So we would all meet up and walk to the Kinsman Party Center from Demi's house and have a good time. One time, Demi and Apple convinced me and Brianna to go with them over some boy's house that lived on the opposite side of 93rd. They ensured us we was only going to be an hour. Long story short, the hour turned in overnight. Then all of a sudden, we was woken up by Penny. She dropped a dime on us. And to this day, I don't know how Penny knew where we were. Now, as we were freaking out and fearing for our lives, we slowly left the boys' house and got into Apple's mother's car. Now, since I was the smallest, I was made to sit in between Apple's mother and Apple's older sister, Jan. It was the most frightening experience ever. Miss Harp had a dangerous, fierce look on her face. I could tell she wanted to whoop on all of us. Apple had the nerve to be bold, though. She was responding to her mother with an attitude. Lord, I don't know why she did that. When I say Miss Harp didn't tolerate disrespect, I mean every word. As Miss Harp smashed on the brakes, jerking all of us forward, I instantly became super nervous and anxious. Everyone in the car was on hush mode, except Apple. Miss Harp turned around towards Apple, hopped out the car, opened the back door on Apple's side, and yoked her up by her thick gold herringbone necklace and decked her right in the mouth. We were all scared. We couldn't wait to get out the car. Miss Harp is the first and only parent who had put fear in my heart. After that bop in the mouth, Apple remained quiet. Now see, although I was still able to hang out outside in the village, we were all on a 2-week punishment that separated us. Now see, during this separation, that was enough time and space for Brianna and Apple to have their own phone conversations, which initiated the start of a breakup. Now, I'm not sure exactly what was said during the separation, but it led to a fight. The drama, it involved Brianna and Demi and little Nana. You know, little Jen's bad little sister. See, after 2 weeks of separation was over, we decided to go link up again. We planned to enjoy the weather. Fresh out of our 2-week punishment, we were all ready to hit the streets and do our regular hood hopping. We made our last visit, as usual, at KZ's and his brother's house. Now see, right before it was time for us to head home, KZ's older brother, Fats, asked if we ever had our cats licked. We all looked at each other with a dumbfounded face and said, "Nah, we didn't even know that was a thing." That's when Fats said, "Hold up," and walked directly next door. He came back with some other boy. He was our age. He looked decent. Besides the fact that he was willing to lick our cats, he didn't even seem weird. "Who wants to try it?" asked Fats. Why did I say me? Then Demi said me too. Apple and Brianna said no, as if they knew something we didn't. It was the lick part of the experience that I was considering. All I was thinking was I ain't gotta like them. I just want to feel the licking my cat part. I didn't know what to expect. I think Demi wanted to beat me to the punch because she went first. It was over in like a minute. It was my turn. And I put my pants down and my little panties to the side. I watched as he stuck out his short little tongue and licked me for like 2 seconds. We quickly returned back to the front with the rest of the crowd. How was it? That's what everybody wanted to know. The boy immediately said while pointing at me, "Hers smell like flowers." I can't recall what he said about Demi. I thought to myself, was this a smell check? Because I definitely didn't feel nothing. Anyways, it was really time for us to head home. So we took off. We headed down Continental, cutting through the back of our school. Before we actually made it over the guardrail to enter out of bounds parking lot, we heard our names being called from behind us. It was little Nana and a few other girls that was her relatives. She was looking for a fight with Brianna. Somehow, little Nana found out we were walking nearby, and she caught up with us. Before we knew it, we were all gathered up in front of the garden rail. I could tell that Brianna didn't want to fight, and all she had to do was leap over the rail and run, but she didn't. So I stood right next to her, out of my instinct in nature. As we stood our grounds, Lil Nana decided to back off. We then suddenly realized that Apple and Demi left us. After we walked back to my house and waited for Brianna's dad to pick her up, we slowly gathered that something went down. Then I decided to fall back from the ABCD group. Before leaving, Brianna mentioned she really did feel betrayed and set up. She considered that since I didn't leave her, I wasn't a part of the setup. After all of this, we were all still slightly together, but apart, like fingers. Not too many people outside of the group of friends knew that we were breaking up. It became obvious, though, when people would see us in splits. Brianna and Apple spent most of their time together. Me and Demi, we spent most of our time together. We considered ourselves the same best friends that we were before we became a group. Summer was full in effect. This is when the real fun happened. Zelma George Rec Center was the best place to be during the summer. We ran all up and through Zelma George. I remember playing a game of manhunt inside of Zelma. My butt decided to hide in a small activity room closet that was full of board games and equipment. Without making a sound, I just stood there and waited. All of a sudden, I heard people entering the room, closing the door behind them. For some reason, I knew whoever it was, they wasn't interested in no manhunt game. That's when I heard it. Sloppy, wet, spit slapping sounds. I really heard the intensity of the performance. I didn't like what I was hearing. It quickly came to an end, though, and I was able to escape, but not without being seen. The summer quickly came to an end, and me and my sibling, we was receiving terrible news. My mother decided that we should all live with her eldest sister. I hated the sound of that. I much rather live with Millie at Grandpa's house. See, my Aunt Kelly, she showed no affection. She was always negatively speaking about my grandpa, which is her father, and my mother. She always acted as if she knew better and did better than everyone else. My aunt stayed in a decent house on Harvard with a much older man. The only bright side to this current situation is that we got to spend more time with our cousins, Tep and Moo. Also, she happened to live close by other teen clubs that we stayed kicking it in, called the Cotton Club and Ken Ferguson. See, I was always able to quickly adapt and adjust in any environment or traumatic situation. during this stage of my life, it wasn't really about me. It was about protecting my siblings. Well, that's the end of chapter 4 and the end of this video. Thank you for kicking it with me. That wasn't so bad, right? You'll be back to finish the book, right? Now you know it's only 10 chapters, right? I figured if we're going to be roommates, you should know a little bit about me. See, my goal is to reach 10,000 subscribers so I can start going live and showing y'all some real stuff. Be my roommate and subscribe. And if you like it and you know it, hit that like. And if you like it and you know it, hit that like. And if you like it and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you like it and you know it, hit that like.